Hello, everybody. I hope you've had a great week so far. How's your week? I'm excited today to be talking to you about something that's been on my mind that I've been thinking a lot of. And so for this podcast interview, this podcast episode, I want to talk about that fear of failure. And then how I overcome this and how I deal with this. So I hope that the strategy, my story, the way I deal with fear of failure can really help you and support you in your sales journey. Okay, so this is going to be the podcast interview. So part of this, all the stuff, whatever you're watching, if you prefer, make sure to sign up to subscribe to my podcast where I will be sharing with you every week different tips and strategies where I'll interview women that have been able to achieve great sales and really understand behind the scenes of how they sell. So make sure to subscribe to my podcast. I'll leave the link somewhere so that you can subscribe to it and you'll be able to get a weekly episode. There's a lot of great stuff there. I will, for example, this episode, I'll be talking about mindset and how to deal with that fear of failure. But we also talk about the specific sales tactics to help you get in front of corporate clients and have them as your as paying clients, and also interview different experts and entrepreneurs that have made it and have successfully landed big clients. So don't forget, make sure to subscribe to my podcast. It's got lots of great stuff to share with you. So today, let's go ahead and I'm going to start recording this podcast so that more women can learn my strategies and my story of how to overcome the fear of failure. All right, everybody, welcome to this episode of Women Making Big Sales. Today, I will be talking about this negative, lingering emotions that we often feel in different stages of our sales journey. For example, if you're just starting to sell to corporate clients and you're doing the research, try to figure out who you want to target and who's more likely to buy from you. Sometimes you might have that feeling and you might start to ask yourself, hey, what if this whole thing doesn't work out? What if these people don't buy from me? What if this is not my ideal clients? These are not my ideal clients. So it's that fear of failure that kind of makes you feel difficult to breathe, or everything feels so much harder. Or it could also happen when we are just starting to connect with your ideal clients. We're starting to maybe engage with our ideal clients on LinkedIn, connect with them and sending out messages to them. And you might be wondering, am I representing myself in the most authentic way? What if I come off salesy? What if people never respond to me? What am I doing? This feels so hard. If you ever feel that way, it's that fear of, failure that I'm going to be talking about, that it's really affecting you from taking action. And this kind of fear of failure might also happen when we finally get in front of our ideal client and they said, okay, great, send me a proposal, send me a quote. And we start preparing our sales proposal or quote, and we know that we're so close to landing this client. But at the same time, there's a little bit of voice inside us and asking us, hey, what if I cannot deliver what I promised? What if I cannot deliver whatever's promised inside the proposal? These are different scenarios where we might have that fear of failure, and that fear could affect us from taking actions or from doing whatever we need to do to make progress. Have you ever felt this way? I think this is the kind of feeling that happens to a lot of us. I personally have felt this kind of fear of failure at different stages of my sales journey. And I remember before when I was in the investment industry, and back then that was quite a few years ago, and I would be doing a lot of cold calling. So I would be cold calling at night, and I had no trouble doing that. So I would be reaching out to prospective clients and letting them know about my service and try to book a meeting with them. But once I finally booked that meeting. So after hours of cold calling, found a great prospect with a lot of potential business owners was thinking about who has a possibility of knowing more of my service. And we finally get a meeting. I would have that fear of failure and worry that, oh, wow, do I really want this client? If I get this client and I can't deliver what I promised, and I have that different kind of fear. What if something bad happens? Or what if I become really busy? What if this client becomes really demanding? So that fear would stop me from really putting 100% of my time preparing for the sales meeting. So rather than putting 100% of effort preparing for this amazing sales meeting, I would actually self sabotage and not spending 100% of my efforts to prepare for this sales meeting. So when I would attend that sales meeting, I would not be 100% ready. And it's actually my fear of failure telling me, stopping me from being 100% prepared. I know, even though I knew that I need to be prepared to close this deal, but because that fear of failure, I stopped taking those actions. Because fear of failure sometimes would create this kind of self-sabotaging behavior, um, and in reality it's probably trying to protect us from facing that failure. So it's always easier to say, okay, well, I'm just not going to prepare 100%. Then what if I should fail? At least I can say I'm not 100% prepared. Does that ever happen to you? And a lot of times maybe it happens when we don't feel 100% motivated. So sometimes we're thinking, oh no, I know exactly what I need to do, I've set out a plan, but I'm having trouble being 100% motivated. But deep down, if we really dig deep, we realize that the reason why we have trouble feeling motivated is simply because we are afraid that by taking that action, we might fail. So we're kind of pre-rejecting ourselves before even taking that action. And that is something that I want to address today. Is it's such an important block in our sales journey. And when I work with women, even when I look at myself every time when I'm analyzing my sales activities, I recognize that fear of failure is actually the root cause of a lot of symptoms we have when we're doing, that are stopping me or stopping us from doing the work, taking the actions, and stopping us from making progress. And that's something that I want to share with you today. I believe that if we can deal, and I'm going to share with you some of the strategies I use to handle that fear of failure. But if we can handle that better, if we can learn to dance with that fear a little bit better, it is going to help us become more motivated. It is going to help us take that action. And it's also going to help us feel better in our lives. I often say this, we plan on being entrepreneur for many years to come. And while we're being entrepreneurs, we also want to make sure that we enjoy this journey. And learning how to dance with this fear of failure is going to help us live in a much more fulfilling way, because we now know how to deal with this constant lingering fear that we might fail. Here's the thing. I mean, I think myself, and then I work with a lot of women, and I noticed that we are very, very hard on ourselves. And it might be something that we grew up, or anybody, I think, when we grew up, we're at school, we're taught to try to get 100% at school. So we are very hard at ourselves in terms of, am I, am I being 100% as an entrepreneur? But that is a tall order for an entrepreneur, because now, especially now, you're going after bigger clients. And a lot of times for us, going after bigger clients means that there will be new challenges. Sometimes you're pretty new as an entrepreneur and you're trying to go after big clients. These are all brand new territory for you. You're building relationships that you never had before, and you have to learn how to build those relationships. And even if you have been an entrepreneur for a long time, every time you go after a big client, that means there are new challenges. You need to get to know new people better. And all these creates a lot of that new challenges. And the two new challenges, your body would actually create that kind of fear of failure and trying to protect you. So I think the first thing to really recognize, and I'm going to share with you how I see this, but the first thing to recognize is that it's a simple thing that the body is telling you. It's the body is trying to protect you from being hurt. It's not right thing, but you'll always have that inevitable fear of failure every time you have to grow, every time you do new things. And another example I often share with people is that while I had no trouble cold calling, going after big clients, I did have a lot of trouble having this Facebook community because I always knew that I was very good in terms of creating customer service, going after big clients, cold calling, finding win-win relationships. That I had no trouble. But trying to be the leader, trying to be in front of you and share my sales journey when I just started, I had a lot of fear and I was worried that, oh my God, what if no one joined my Facebook group? And oh my God, I'm going to fail in front of everybody. I'm doing a video live with you guys now. What if I make a stupid mistake? What if I say something stupid? So I did have that a lot of that fear of failure. And and that really stopped me from creating Facebook group for a long time. And even when I decided to open this Facebook group, oh my God, I had to talk to my husband. I was having trouble breathing, and I was really having trouble like having like accepting the concept that I am going to be a leader in the community. But we can overcome this. The reason why I'm sharing this journey with you is because it is such an important topic in your sales journey. If you want to grow, if you want to have a huge impact in your life, if you want to work with big clients, you got to know how to deal with this sense of failure. And I'm going to share with you some key strategies, mindset shift that you got to know if you are ready to embark on this journey. Because every single woman or entrepreneur I know that has been successful, they've all faced failures. They've all faced challenges, and now they all know how to deal with this sense of failure. So if you feel like, hey, there's something blocking you from taking actions, there's something blocking you from creating that amazing, feeling authentic and feeling joyful as an entrepreneur, I really suggest you or welcome you, encourage you to take this topic, prioritize and making sure that this topic, try to learn how to manage, how to deal with sales, feeling the fear of failure. So there are some symptoms. Before we talk about how to deal with fear of failure, I want to highlight some symptoms you might have. And if you do face these symptoms, then you might be really suffering or having trouble dealing with fear of failure. So if you have trouble being motivated, if you know exactly what you need to do to make progress, you know people are showing you what you need to do to make progress, but you just have trouble doing it. For some reason, you just cannot stay motivated. Then I welcome you to kind of ask yourself, deep down, is it because I'm worried that if I take these actions, then I might fail. And this might be something, you ask yourself. I welcome you to kind of ask yourself, and journaling. I've mentioned this to many people. Journaling is such an important thing for me. I think we all need to have a conversation with ourselves from time to time. We and ourselves, that this is the most important relationship we should have, and understanding ourselves and understanding what our unconscious mind is saying to us is so important. So if you're having trouble staying motivated, it is possible that you in reality you're just having trouble dealing with this fear of failure. And another thing I often see people have is overthinking a strategy and trying to be perfect in something they do. So if you are overthinking something and you're trying to be perfect, and that that overthinking, the analysis paralysis is stopping you from taking actions, then you might want to ask yourself, is it because the reason why I care about being perfect is because I'm worried that I might fail? So if you're having trouble making a decision and taking actions, It's possible that you just, there's such a desire to be 100%, to be perfect, and then that it's stopping you from taking action and making progress. If these are the things that happen to you, then it might be deep down, you're just really worried about failing and worried about disappointing other people and disappointing yourself. So, how do we overcome this? In essence, we got to overcome this. So, what are the things we do? So, the first thing that I really welcome you to think about is how you see failure. So, the fear we have comes from how we see failure. So, I used to do a lot of cold calls. I mentioned it before when I was in investment. That was many, many years ago. I used to do lots of cold calls. And I remember my mentor back then, even though at the beginning I was really worried about doing cold calling and people saying no to me. And then my mentor told me that every single no's I hear will lead me to the yeses. So every single no I'm hearing, they're actually my stepping stones to yes. And then even today, when we think of failures, we're really thinking about it's not a failure for life. When we launch something, every time we do something new, let's say every time we send out a message to somebody, if the person doesn't reply, it is not a failure. And I really wanted to kind of reframe that and think of it's a simple challenge that we have to unblock, we have to overcome. There is really no failure in life. Failure is a word that is so definitive, as if, okay, there's a failure and then it's like it's a zero and then that's it. But life is not like that. Life is a continuous journey. So you really want to see your sales journey as there's no failure in life, but it's just a temporary challenge. Every challenge we face it's temporary. Every challenge has a solution. So in essence, every failure we face, it's a simple challenge and nothing is definitive. So if you're feeling that, okay, the next thing I'm going to do, um, and the next thing you're going to do, try to make sure to remind yourself. And it's so important to really have that healthy relationship with a sense of failure or with a sense of things are not going according to plan. So, in essence, the reason why we think it might be a failure is simply because things do not go according to the plan. But life is such that, things never go according to the plan. And sales is the same thing. Sales is simply a different, it's just like a science experiment. We're constantly testing something. And this is especially true when you're just starting as an entrepreneur, or if you're targeting a new market, or if you're targeting a new group of people, or if you're creating new service and you want to go after new clients. Sales a simple sales experiment, and everything we do, despite the best practices, the sales strategies I'm going to share with you, they're all about testing, testing, testing. So whenever we test, we're going to have a result. And these are simple results, and it's a puzzle that we have to solve. But these are simply results. There's no, you are not defined by this result, yes or no. And once you have the result, you're going to test again and you're going to get result again. So the first thing when it comes to overcoming the fear of failure, the first step is really having that healthy relationship with failure. And in fact, from now on, I welcome you to stop talking about thinking of failure, but really telling yourself that it's a challenge. What it's there, all the things we experience could be temporary challenges. And it's us to make a decision and say, today, I choose to see it as temporary challenge. And I choose to see whatever things are going to happen. I'll have a solutions for that. Then now, this is the way we see the challenges we face. The second thing, and which is going to be, wow, it's going to be for a lot of us counterintuitive, is you have to detach yourself from the results of whatever you do and stay focused on the actions. Sales can be unpredicted in a very short term, which means that when you send a message to a prospective client, it's it's really, once you send that message out, you really don't know what the other person is facing. The other person could have personal problems when you send out the message. The other person could be really busy with some kind of project at work. There's a lot of things you cannot predict. So sales, it can be really unpredictable. So, but at the same time, we have full control of our action. Years and years, every single time I talk to people, every single time I look at my sales challenges or my sales success, I can see that a lot of things were unexpected. The sales success I get, oftentimes they could seem really unexpected and everything could happen, yeah, unexpectedly. But at the same time, the challenge we face, it could also got nothing, had nothing to do with you. So the next thing when we comes to seeing that failure or seeing the challenges is also detach yourself from the results. The moment you take action, you should celebrate the action you take and detach yourself from the results. Because whatever the results will be, you know that if it's a win, that's great. If it there, the results become challenges, you are going to find solutions, because you are going to be you are an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs is about solving the puzzles. So you're going to be comfortable. You need to be comfortable with solving challenges every single time. If sometimes even when I face a sales success, then the next challenge would be, how do I fulfill the sales success? How do I make sure I deliver what I promised? And how do I make sure that operations goes well? So entrepreneurship is about one challenge after another, and it's about constantly looking for solutions. So when you're doing your sales, detach yourself from the results for a moment. The moment you take action, you can plan, you can make sure that you send out the best sales message possible, and then you need to learn to detach from the results and be willing to welcome whatever sales results that come to you, and be willing to start, maybe if there are challenges, then you will be ready to overcome the challenge. What I see a lot of women, a lot of people when I talk to, is they're so stuck with a result. And once they face the temporary challenge, it becomes paralyzing, because they so much want to close this deal and they couldn't close the deal, and it becomes so paralyzing that they couldn't take the next action. But the next action could result in the sales success that they've always wanted. So in order to create a sales momentum, it is all about how to overcome the challenges as soon as possible. Yes, we might face one challenge. Let's create a solution as soon as possible and take the next action. And that is how you create a sales momentum. So these are the two things that are more about the mindset of, first of all, making sure that you really have that healthy relationship with that sense of failure, and try to transform that as the temporary challenge. These are just temporary challenges, and they do not define you. And really detach you from the results as soon as you take that action. Celebrate and focus on the actions. And once you've taken that actions, detach yourself from results. Be willing to accept whatever results come to you, and ready to tackle the challenges, whatever challenges you may face every day. So these are the mindset that I always remind myself and constantly build myself. And the moment I remind myself, the stronger I become. The more actions I take, the more failures I face, the stronger I become. So I really want to welcome you to keep doing this. This is like going to the gym. This is like, this is mindset challenge or mindset fitness for you as your entrepreneur. So you got to be ready to keep doing that. And how do you do this? So another thing that I try to do this daily. I know that a lot of us, we know about gratitude journaling. Be grateful for things you have. But I think a lot of us, we don't spend enough time to be grateful of our progress. So what I often do is I would have a gratitude journaling for my business. Grateful for my business, not just for the fact that, I've got amazing family, I've got an amazing husband supporting me, but I also am grateful for all the progress that I make. I've created a gratitude journal that I'll make sure to include it in this episode so that you can download and use that to start journaling your progress. In essence, we're celebrating your wins because you're really training your brain to look at to focus on the wins. And what are the wins? The wins are the actions you take, because actions are the only thing you have control over. You don't really have a control over whoever's in front of you. We don't have control over the person in front of you and the outcome, but we have full control over the reactions of the challenges we may face or the reactions of our sales result. So I definitely always focus on the actions and being grateful. And every day I just remind myself that I am solving the puzzle. I am solving the temporary challenges. And today I choose to let go of all these things. Whenever I feel that there are negative thoughts blocking me, the fear of failures, they do come. The fear of failure of, hey, what if I do this and it might not work? Whenever I feel that, I choose to let it go. I recognize that they'll always be there to protect me, maybe. Or there might be other people also remind me of, oh, you might fail. These people mean well, just the same thing as my negative thoughts. They mean well. They're trying to protect me, but they are not right. So I would choose to let go of these negative thoughts and focus on the positive side. Be grateful, the gratitude journaling for my business, and stay joyful. Just always focus on the positive side. It's a decision, and I welcome you to, when you're listening to this, I welcome you to today, right now, and tell yourself, I choose to focus on my actions. I choose to let go of things that do not serve me and focus on my actions. Focus on my progress. And every day for me, whenever I do this, I share my knowledge with you for the community. I stay true to my purpose and know very closely and understanding what my purpose, the reasons of me creating this amazing community. I stay true to my purpose, and then I focus on the positive side, positivity, and also I trust that progress. I trust that I am going to choose to let go of anything that do not serve me, and then I focus on the progress and I focus on the actions I take. And over time, the more actions I take, the stronger I become. And now I've got my podcast. Now I've got my Facebook, amazing community on Facebook, and I've been able to sell around the world. But all these amazing things all started with new things, with nothing. They all started with zero. They all started with a possibility of failure. But that is fine. Just focus on the progress one day at a time, and treat your mind as your body. Always focus on the positive energy of your mind and choose to let go of all those negative energy. I think that's it. These are the basic things that I hope my strategy, what I do to overcome, to learn to dance with my fear of failure, it's going to help you and it's going to be helpful for your sales journey. But just remember, this is a continuous process, and you are here to train your mind. Just the same thing as going to the gym or eating healthy. We are doing this day in and day out. We got to continue doing this. Be very disciplined and making sure that you are always there to train your mind. Stay positive. Surround yourself with positive, amazing women so that you are inspired. So I hope this inspire you, help you overcome this fear of failure, let it go, and always focus on the temporary challenges, the progress, and your action. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Women Making Big Sales together. Let's make progress. Bye.